Hello guys, good morning. Welcome back to our Esentaxa live here. This Saturday we are going to talk about the link criteria of the Impatriate regime. So here I think it's a very important topic because today we are going to discuss how to move to the Italian tax agency the link of your repatriation, your inbound, your status of Impatriate. Okay, that makes the Impatriate regime working for you for your specific case. What does it mean? It means that you want to benefit of this 90% deduction, 70% deduction of your income. Have to prove that you have a genuine repatriation to Italy, and this genuine repatriation is actually it's required through certain kind of situations, and you are going to discuss on this live exactly what does it mean. At the end of this live, if we have any questions, I'm going to reply you here. So we also dedicate like 5 minutes on replying some questions. And if this is the first time that you are in this channel in Esentaxa, I want to remember that is talking about how to optimize the taxation when you move in a certain country. We are specialized in Italy. We are #1 channel on Italian tax system that in English we explain to everyone how the taxation in Italy works, how can you optimize the taxation, how to planify in advance a long-term strategy, and try to optimize taxes in long term, not just in the first year, second year, but in 5-10 years since the moment you relocate to Italy. We also provide you certain kind of services such as tax simulations. So we can provide you the tax simulation. That means that we can gather all your incomes coming from abroad, and we make the simulation like you were Italian tax resident. So in this way, we can see in advance if Italy makes sense for you or not. And we also have video courses in which we explain you guys how the Italian system, the fiscal system works, in order to understand in general how everything works, the type of incomes, employee incomes, self-employed incomes, property under rent, tax benefits, pension income, so and everything, all the miscellaneous incomes together, to give you all the panorama about it. And then after that you are able to understand the Italian accountant language. Okay, so you're not completely unaware of how the Italian tax system works, because it's very important for us that our clients and the taxpayer in general is aware of how the tax system works in general cases, not just in Italy, in every country. So in this way, you can be aware of what you're doing and what the accountant is telling you at a certain time whenever you have a consultancy with a certain accountant. Now, let's talk about the Impatriate regime again. So the Impatriate regime works if you have a genuine link with the Italian territory. That's the most important tax clarification. So the Italian tax agency always remember this particular thing. It's not something that is written in the law, but sometimes the Italian tax agency gives some tax clarification, some procedures, some good practice. If we follow them, once we have an audit, a checks, automatically we are safe. Automatically we pass the check and we don't have any fine problems in the future. Okay, so what is the link between what is the link that allows you to apply and exploit the Impatriate regime? So first of all, you have to divide two categories. One category is when you are an employee, and the second category when you are self-employed. Okay, the easiest one is the self-employed, because in the self-employed, you don't have so much things to do. You don't have so many steps to perform. You simply have to prove the link for the genuine repatriation to Italy, or the first repatriation, if this is the first time that you move to Italy. Simply moving to Italy, moving your residence and become Italian tax residents, of course, automatically. But in a short period of time, you have to open the VAT position. Okay, so you become an Italian self-employed working with an Italian position. You can have all your clients wherever they are, in Italy, outside Italy, doesn't matter. You have to work from Italy, but also you have to open your self-employed Italian position in a very short period of time from your relocation. Okay, so from the formal point of view, it means that you just move to Italy, you go to the communal residence, you register yourself as a resident of Italy. Of course, if you're not European citizen, you should have in advance your visa. And once you have registered yourself as a resident, you have to, in a span of 30 days, that's the maximum limit that we would suggest, is to open a VAT position. Then you have automatically the link criteria enough to exploit the Impatriate regime. It doesn't work if you go to Italy, you're looking for a job, then you don't find any job, and then you open up a business. In this way, you cannot apply the Impatriate regime. Okay, so this means a genuine repatriation. This is a very important concept as a self-employed. Now let's move to the employee category. If we are an employee, there are a little bit more steps to perform in order to prove this link, this genuine repatriation. So what are those steps? First of all, you have to be invited by an entity. Now, a lot of people are not aware of that this entity is not needed to be Italian entity. Yeah? You can also be invited to work in Italy from a foreign entity. This is not a problem. What is important is that this entity has to give to you, and of course in the future to the Italian tax agency, a reason why they want you to work in Italy. So that's the most important thing. So I can give an example. One of our clients, for example, it was a researcher, PhD actually, and he has to go in Italy, he has to move to Italy for research certain kind of geological elements, some stones, something related to the geology. Okay, I don't know now the technical terms of this kind of research, but that was a strong link. Okay, this was a strong link criteria, and his entity was a US company, a US university or US laboratory. So it doesn't really matter who is paying you the salary. What is matters is that they require you to work in Italy, in the Italian territory, for a specific reason. Okay, and this is a strong reason. So this is a very nice link. Okay, this was an example. Of course, you can have any kind of situation, but a situation that forces you to be physically working from Italy. Okay. Normally, this is done through an invitation letter. So or a letter of engagement, normally it's called. You can have this letter of engagement from this entity. They will invite you, please work with us, we're going to offer this salary. And also in the contract that you're going to sign with this company will be written the reason why you have to work from Italy. Okay, so those are the two important elements that allows you to build the link criteria and exploit safely your Impatriate regime. When I say safely, means that in a span of 5 years, if you receive an audit from the Italian tax agency, you will be completely safe in the sense that you give back to the Italian tax agency all the documents. They say, okay, you're perfectly fulfill all the requirements and you're fine. Okay. If instead, if you don't, a lot of people, if they try to apply the Impatriate regime, just self-certifying to have all the requirements, but then they don't really had all these link criteria, they didn't check all these link criteria, they might risk that I have to give back everything. So that's the reason why it's very important to be careful on this point, because the Italian tax agency, if they found that you have missed some steps, you have to give back all the money, all the taxes that you have spared, plus interest and plus a big fine. Okay, so this is very important. I see that you already are writing some questions. I will reply you guys at the end of this live. I just give 5 minutes on replying you. Don't worry. I just want to mention another point here. We also went through our tax agency clarifications, one of the latest one in 2022, that basically allow us to also use the Impatriate regime on multiple incomes. What does it mean? It means that once you move to Italy, you are also allowed to either be an employee and a self-employed at the same time. Both can exploit the Impatriate regime. So you have both incomes with this deduction of 90% and with deduction 70% if you move in the north of Italy. So this is one of the most important news that the Italian tax agency clarified. It's also possible that you can keep working with the existing company that you are working from abroad. Okay, so what is the strategy now? So basically, the Italian tax agency now is way more open to the home working. So they just want you to stay in Italy. You can basically, Italy can benefit from your salary, from your presence in the country. You also have to be a self-employed. You exploit the self-employed procedure to just open up the VAT position in a span of 1 month, and then you have the link criteria. So this is the best way to work from your existing client from Italy without using all this more complex procedure through an employee. Because if you're an employee, it's more difficult to keep working with the same foreign entity, yeah, because you don't really have an easy way to prove the genuine repatriation. Okay. Let me check my notes here. I also another important point. A lot of clients ask us, but what if I start as an employee and then I move as a self-employed? So I fulfill the link criteria as an employee, but then after a couple of years, I want to change. I want to be a self-employed. Now, this point has been finally clarified. So it doesn't matter if you start as a self-employed or as an employee. What matters is that since the moment you apply the Impatriate regime, you fulfill the link criteria either with the self-employed path or as an employee path. One of the two, it's fine. Afterward, you can change also the position. You can also be an employee or a self-employed. You don't need to do anything else. It's valid since the moment you move to Italy, okay? So you can actually switch to an employee. This is also another point that was a little bit blurry, and we as a consultant, we were not quite aware about the solution because the law didn't specify this point, and either the Italian tax agent didn't specify it up to last year, okay? So also this one is possible. What is not possible, guys, you cannot move to Italy and looking for a job, waiting to find a job, and then asking for the Impatriate regime. This will never work, okay? So you have to consider to be either invited or open immediately a business, okay? So this is how it works. I will close now my speech, just mention a small point. The Impatriate regime is not good if you have a lower income. An income normally, I also made a video on this, an income lower than 120,000 euro in general cases, because anyway, you have to pay the big amount of IMPs on your global revenue. We have also made a video in which we have explaining why sometimes there is uncertainty on the calculation of the Social Security, but there is a way to spare the Social Security. It's the case when you work as an employee and then you have a business in parallel. In this case, you don't have to pay twice the IMPs, but this is something that we have to check in our consultancy services. So because each and every consultancy is personalized and customized for each specific situation. So if you want to apply for the Impatriate regime, if you want to know more, if you want to make sure that you are eligible, we can provide you this 1 hour call. In the description below the video, you will have our 50-minute free call in which we can give you more details about our services and which services can be useful for you. Or you can simply write us an email with more details at the email info@esentaxa.com. And that's it for the live. So let's start to reply to some questions. The first person is asking, do I need to collect VAT from clients outside of Italy if I'm self-employed in Italy? Okay, so if you are self-employed in Italy and your clients are basically entities, so you are selling to some services to entities, you don't have to add your VAT in your invoices when you issue invoices. This also works works for any kind of countries. This is a general rule in Europe. Okay, but if you are selling to individuals, then of course you have to add the Italian VAT. Okay. Instead, if you are selling goods, then you have to pay and add the VAT of the country in which you have more clients. And if you have passed a threshold of 10,000 euro, this is a MOS directive, is a European directive, but those are the directives about the VAT. So this has nothing to do with the Impatriate regime itself. When you open the principle is the following: when you open an Impatriate regime, you are opening an ordinary VAT position. You are self-employed, so you will pay VAT. You will account the VAT in an ordinary way. Instead, if you are opening the forfeit regime, which doesn't have the same type of tax benefit, it's another type of tax benefit, which makes sense when your income is, let's say, lower than 85,000 euro per year. In that case, you will never add VAT on your invoices because a special regime that works in Italy. So even towards privates, you don't have to add any VAT. I see. I wondered the same thing. I think I answered. Okay, this is the same answer for both of you guys. Okay, we have another questions. I'm 65. I want to continue to pay US Social Security since I will never get anything from Italy. Is it possible as a self-employed? No. Unfortunately, when you want to be a self-employed in Italy, if you open a VAT position, you have to also pay the INPS in Italy because this is mandatory by law. There is an exception. If you are keep working for an US employer and you are an employee, there is a special convention between Italy and the US, United States of America, which allows you to keep paying your Social Security in US. So at the level of US Social Security, you can keep using your US Social Security. This is very, very, very good. But at the level of taxes, if you have a US payroll, it's going to be more complicated because in theory, you should pay taxes in Italy. But your US employer doesn't want to give you the gross income because they have to pay the taxes on the IRS. It's a little bit more complicated in the level of taxes, but it's possible to keep paying the Social Security when you are an employee. Again, as a self-employed, you pay the Social Security in Italy. And then you can have, of course, clients everywhere in the world. You're not constrained by any other countries. This is not a problem. I have INPS clarified if the 90% deduction of imposable income of gestione separata is valid on a Social Security. Okay, here we have a specific video. If you go in our YouTube channel and you type INPS Esentaxa, we have explained what is the way that we can calculate the INPS on the Inpatriate regime. In general cases, you have to consider your revenue. Of course, you remove your real cost because you have a business, so you have to keep into account your profit. Then you remove this 26% of INPS, and then you deduct the 90% in general cases. There are certain kind of activity in which you can do the reverse. You first reduce the 90% and then you apply the INPS, which would be even better. But the INPS didn't clarify yet if this is possible. It's only because it goes in contrast with the calculation law of the Social Security. So that's the reason why in Italy there is a big confusion by this problem, because this institution never clarified this specific point. Okay. Again, watch this video in which we explain you the only official source where this problem arises, and this basically is the Italian tax agency software. So we use the software, we can explain you where is the issue. Okay. Then another questions. I know a chiropractor in Bassano, the Grappa, who pays US Social Security. He just has to prove it every few years. Not sure how he does it. Well, we are not even sure if he is doing correctly. There is something that we have to take into account. We have a lot of US clients that are living in Italy. They don't even declare anything to Italy, neither taxes, neither Social Security. Normally, the US government is not giving all the information back to Italy. I'm not saying that you have to follow this way. It's against the Italian law. So it's up to you to decide what to do. I mean, what we always suggest to our client, declare everything to Italy, pay the Social Security in Italy, and try to not pay the Social Security in US, because otherwise you're going to pay the Social Security in both countries. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be pay a lot of money, and useful, a lot of money. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for your questions, guys. I think we can close this live. News are coming. Keep in mind that we are also releasing a new service for those who want to apply the Impatriate regime and they have some difficulties to convince their employer to apply the Impatriate regime, because a lot of employers, foreigners employers mostly, are not aware about this tax benefit in Italy, so they don't know what to do. They don't know what is the paperwork to allow their employee to benefit from the Impatriate regime, because of course their payroll has to be adapted. They have to withhold taxes with a very, very small amount of percentage, so they have to follow a procedure. and we can assist the company, your company, in case you want to apply the Impatriate regime. And also, we can also draft for you the template for the invitation letter, which contains the strong statement that in the future you can use against an eventual audit with the Italian tax agency. Okay? And that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching this live. I will invite you to subscribe to the channel if it is the first time that you watch this channel, Esentaxa. Subscribe to the channel, notification bell, and like button to help us grow. And see you to the next video or to the next live. Bye.